All right, so this is for everybody who has gone out to the range multiple times and they're still not being able to get a 1 inch group, but they feel like their fundamentals of marksmanship are on point and that they should be getting a 1 inch group. I'm going to kind of walk you through a couple of tips on how to troubleshoot your problems. Because most likely the gun that you've purchased, if you bought anything that I've recommended, is guaranteed from the factory to shoot 1 inch at 100 yards. However, there are a couple of caveats with that, and I'm going to give you a couple of tips on some issues that may be happening with your rifle, with some ammunition, and then some stuff with cleaning in the barrels and stuff like that. So we're going to jump into first figuring out if there's an issue with your rifle itself. And so what I like to do, especially if you have a bolt gun, turn it over. There's going to be two screws by the trigger guard, one right here and one right here. Those screws are what attach your stock to your barreled action. Make sure that those are tightened down properly to spec. If they aren't, that will definitely be throwing off your zero and your grouping. Next thing is the screws that attach your rings to your rifle. Make sure that those are tight and that you don't have any wobble in those. And then the next is the screws that are attaching the rings to your scope. Usually if I've been out to the range and someone has put their rifle together themselves, that's usually how I work. I work from the bottom up of all of those screws to make sure that they're all tight and down to spec and that nothing's wobbling, because you're never going to get a zero if any of those things are off. So check those first, because that's usually the most common thing that I see. The next thing that's the most common is this barrel is picky with ammunition, or I guess not this barrel specifically, but barrels in general are picky with ammunition. And so if you're shooting a 6.5 Creedmoor, I would start with a 140 grain ELD match bullet from Hornady. That doesn't mean that your gun is going to shoot it 1 inch at 100 yards. It may not like that bullet weight. So you may need to go up weight to like 143 grain, or you may need to go down in weight to like 130 grain bullet. So another thing too that you may want to do is switch brands to like a Federal Gold Medal match bullet. Each barrel and gun and bullet are its own unique set. And once you find the barrel and the bullet and everything that goes well together, don't change it. So that could be something you need to do. Go out to the range, buy 3 or 4 different boxes of ammunition that are different weights, like grain weights. Shoot those through your gun, see which one produces the most accurate group at 100 yards, and then start practicing with that one until you're always shooting that at a 1 inch group at 100 yards in a prone position. So that could be another factor. Another factor is that these guns take a while for that barrel to break in. And so you may need to shoot a couple of hundred rounds through it before you're achieving accuracy out of the rifle. So when these barrels are made, there's microscopic cracks that are inside the barrel. And as you shoot rounds, the excess powder and gases and stuff like that are filling in those cracks, which ultimately is leading to better accuracy as those microscopic cracks get filled in. So be patient. It may take you a couple hundred rounds before you're really starting to get every group you shoot into a 1 inch circle. And that's pretty common. There's nothing wrong with that. Your gun is still guaranteed 1 inch at 100 yards. It just sometimes takes some time to achieve that based on barrel manufacturing. One last thing is, let's say you've shot several hundred rounds through it and you're still not getting a 1 inch group. Obviously, back up, work on the fundamentals of marksmanship. Another thing that you may want to do is clean the barrel with some corrosive material to really, really get it clean, and then start that break-in process over again, and then see if you start to get a 1 inch group at a 100 yards. If not, maybe you take a class from me in person, and we work on it together and see what we can figure out. That's an option as well on how to troubleshoot your problems. Anyways, there's a couple of pro tips for you on if you're having issues getting a 1 inch group. Um, those are the things that I would work on first to see if I can then achieve a 1 inch group at 100 yards on a consistent basis.